welcome back. It is once again time to review another book, and this book for this week is Insurgent by Veronica Roth. So here we go. And today I have balled out on another wine that was $15.99, but it fits so perfectly. It's Ben Zeiger. It's a Cabernet Sauvignon. And look, like it's like the same shape. There's like a tree. So I balled out, but it just felt right. The wine is going to get a 4.75 out of 5. It's a really good cab. I like it. And I also realized I really need to start mixing in more white wines. I feel like I always do Cabernet Sauvignons or Merlots. Like really, I'd always do red wine, and I don't discriminate wines, you know? Whatever, this is a 4.75. This book picks up right where the first one left off, which is with Tris, For, Caleb, and Marcus heading to Amity for protection, because if we all remember in the last book, shit kind of hit the fan, and so now people know that they're divergent, and so they gotta go. And so the Amity leader, Johanna, agrees to let them stay as long as they're peaceful, which works for a certain amount of time, but then like Erudite and Dauntless traders show up and they start fighting, and so the group, the gang, they have to go back to the city because they are risking Amity, and Amity's like, WTF, like, no, get out of here. We have like our own dojo. And you're ruining it, so bye. So Marcus tells Tris that the reason Janine attacked in the first place is because Abnegation has information that Erudite really needs and Janine really needs and wants. And Tobias is like, no, you're spewing lies. And Tris is like, I feel like he's probably telling the truth, but I'm not gonna say anything because like I love you and I don't want to get in the middle of all your like daddy issues. Which, I mean, I understand, so. So they get on a train, they meet all these people who are factionless, and they're heading to a factionless, like, compound, which no one knew existed, but it makes sense. And so they show up, and lo and behold, Tobias's mother, Evelyn, is the factionless, like, leader. So Tobias's mother, Evelyn, is, like, yeah, I'm trying to create a world with no factions because that just makes sense to me. Like, we're all human. Like, why can't we all just be strong at some things and all coexist and whatnot? So she's trying to do that, and she's like, hey, but I need your help, Tobias, because, like, you're my son, but also, like, dauntless things, and so, like, you're just whatever. And so she needs his help. So then him and Tris leave to go to Candor, which is where all of the dauntless people have taken refuge, and they get arrested. So here's what happened. The Candor leader saw footage of Tris and Tobias in the control room back in the other book and assumed that they were the ones responsible for the attack of like the Dauntless on everyone. So they get put under the truth serum that the Candor have, and they go to trial, and that's where they get the serum. They get cleared of their charges because obviously that they didn't do it. So, but while under the truth serum, Tris mentions how she had to kill her friend Will. And do you remember her friend Christina? Yeah. Christina and Will were kind of in love and like dating and stuff. And so now Christina is like, stupid bitch. And so they're like, it's like tricky situations. Then some like traitor dauntless people invade Candor, led by Eric. Do you remember Eric? It was like, he's a douche canoe. But anyway, so then they start injecting people with things, but then like Tris is like, nah. And then some loyal dauntless people are like, bye. And so, yeah. So then because Tobias has been being called a coward because of like stuff that he said under the truth serum, he decides that in order to rectify the fact that he was called a coward, he's gonna go beat up his dad. You remember the daddy issues I said he had? Yeah, he's, apparently he's got a lot more than we first anticipated. But then Tris, the little two-faced, decides that she's gonna go to Marcus and be like, hey, so I think I could be really helpful in getting the information that Erudite stole. I could get that back. And so, like, I guess it's good that she's bonding with her boyfriend's father, but like, then some stuff happens and Tris gets involved in like a fight-ish of sorts. I don't know. So then Tobias talks to her and is like, hey, you're being reckless and putting your life in danger and I don't like that. So I'm threatening you with ending our relationship, which is like, I get it. But also, I just feel like that's a little bit of a stretch. So because Tris and Four and all of them know that the leader of Candor, Jack, is likely to turn them over, they decide that it's safer for them to head back to Dauntless Compound. So that's where they go. They choose some leaders to, you know, like lead them. And Tobias is one of them. And their first motion of leading is to execute Eric, which is like, but like it's a good move because Eric is a piece of Christina finally forgives Tris for killing Will, and so that's good. But then Tobias takes Tris onto the train to meet with his mom, Evelyn. They do that, and Tris is like not thinking it's a good idea because she's like, I think your mom's using you. And I don't know if she says it or not. I think she says it at one point, but like whether she says it right then is a mystery to all of us. But wait, because things are about to get freaking crazy because Erudite is like, no. And so they have this whole thing to make the Dauntless start committing suicide until they turn themselves over. And so she goes behind Tobias's and Christina's backs because they don't share one collective back. They have two separate backs. So she goes behind their backs and turns herself into Erudite. And so then Tobias shows up as if we need him, which I do love. I love him. But that's beside the point. He shows up and then Janine reveals to Tris that she's only been so effective because Caleb, her brother, has been like working with her to help Erudite because he's loyal to his faction. And so now Tobias is like, hey, I'm not here because I like wanted to die with you. I'm here to scope out Erudite and their plans. So like, and part of Tobias's plan is all because he's trying to scope this all out for the factionless to invade so they know where to go to. And he's trying to tell Tris to like just hold out for that because she just wants to die now. Like, so Trish pushes back on Janine's experiments and she's like, no, I won't submit to you. And so Janine's like, okay, fine, I'll do it to Tobias. And she schedules Tris's execution. And do y'all remember Peter? Okay, well, y'all are gonna remember him now. So he was one of Tris's like enemies, and so during the execution, Peter leads her to the execution place, and everyone's like, oh, when you're reading it, you're like, oh no, like, not good. But it actually turns out to be good because Peter injects her with the death serum, and then it turns out to not be a death serum at all. It is one that just causes paralysis. So then he takes the body, which everyone assumes to be dead, takes her body out, and so she can escape with Tobias. So like, good for you, Peter. So a lot of shit happens, but basically Tris is working against Tobias. Tris is trying to help out Marcus, who is Tobias's father, which is funny, and Tobias is trying to help out his mother. And so, because here's the thing, the factionless are invading, and so Tris is working with Janine to stop that because she needs Janine for the information. And so they do some things, and then all of a sudden Tori shoots Janine, and Tris is like, and Tori is like, you're a traitor, and sends her to like the dungeon with the other people. And it's not a dungeon. But good for Tris because Tobias finally believes what she's been saying all along. So way to be a supportive boyfriend, Tobias. So now Tris and Tobias force Caleb to disarm the whatever security system on the computer to allow them to get the information that they've been needing this whole book. Tobias plays what he has recovered from the system. And it is Triss's mom talking about how the factions were created in order to eliminate human flaws and errors and quirks so that the Divergent could emerge, which are like the perfect people. But here's the thing. She was one of these perfect people, and she volunteered to be a part of this experiment, having her brain memory erased and inserted into this experiment as Edith Pryor. And that's where this book ends. Cover design is going to get a 3.75 because it is pretty, but it feels like it's really just about Amity to me, and like, I get that, but also no. Characters are a 4.5 because I really like the diversity that we have in this series. I said it last time, I'll say it again. Triss is cool, Tobias is cool. You have characters you hate like Marcus and Eric and whatnot, and then you have characters that redeem themselves like Peter, but overall 4.5. A lot is a 5. I genuinely love the story idea. I love the the concept of separating people by their strongest traits. I like it because at the end of it all, it's, hey, yeah, you can separate the smart people from like the brave people from the honest people, but in reality, we are all a little bit of all of that. So that is my wisdom for my life, because I won't be any more wise than what just came out of my mouth. Ending is also a 5 because I love this ending. This ending to this book is better than the ending in all 3 of them, because this is where like you really get the knowledge for all of it. Like Triss's mom was a normal human being that entered this experiment to try to help the greater good, and she ended up dying for it, and I'm like, ugh. And the book drop. It's also a 5 because it is that exact moment that I just explained previously. So it's a 5 out of 5. It is shocking. You kind of expect it. Like you can kind of piece things together, but this really lays it out on the line for you. So 5 out of 5. So that means Insurgent by Veronica Roth gets a 4.65. It was a really good novel. Unfortunately, the next one is not as much so. Spoiler alert! But anyway, this is a good book. So, as always, see you next time. I hope you enjoyed it, and stay boozy.